Hello! Before you start watching this video, make sure that you watch The Day the Crayons Quit. The color wheel shows us how colors are related to each other. Artists use color wheels to learn how to mix colors. Remember, two primary colors create a secondary color. So let's remember back to what we learned last year. What are the primary colors? Red, yellow, and blue. What are the secondary colors? Orange, green, and purple. If we look at this color wheel, you'll see that the primary colors have secondary colors between them. This shows the artist what two primary colors they need to make a secondary color. Let's look at the primary colors red and yellow on our color wheel. What secondary color is in between red and yellow? Orange. So we know that red and yellow mixed together will make orange. Now let's look at yellow and blue. What secondary color is between yellow and blue? Green. So we know that yellow and blue are going to make green. All right, now let's look at blue and red. What secondary color is between blue and red? Purple. So today we're going to be making our own rainbow crayon, just like at the end of that story. So to do that, you're going to need your watercolors and a long piece of paper. Now our watercolors are going to be our primary colors. Remember, that's red, yellow, and blue. You're also going to want a cup of water and your paintbrush. First, you're going to wet your paper, and you don't have to wet the entire paper, just small sections of it, because it's going to start drying up somewhat quickly. We don't want it to be soaked. Then, we're going to start with our first color in the rainbow, and that's red. Remember, every time you're about to dip into your watercolors, you need to dip into your water first. All right, I think we got our red down. So now what comes after red? We are going to need orange. So to do that, do we want blue or yellow to mix with our red? We want the yellow. And if you ever get mixed up thinking about what primary colors you need to mix together to get a secondary color, remember we can always look at the color wheel. And that secondary color that we're trying to mix is going to be in between the two primary colors that we need to mix to get that. So now I'm putting down that yellow and kind of mixing it in with the red. Now I think this still looks a little bit too, I don't know, maybe I'll add some more yellow. But now it looks very yellow. So I'm gonna go back to that red and add a little bit of it on top. Hopefully that starts turning it orange. So we're kind of mixing these colors on the paper, going back and forth until I see an orange color. Now I feel like it might be a little bit too red, so I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. Now I'm starting to get that orange that I like. So now we have red and orange. What do we need? We need yellow next. That's the next color in the rainbow. And thankfully yellow is a primary color, so we don't need to think about mixing right now. We can just put it right on down. So my paper's starting to dry up. I'm just putting a little bit more water on there. We want to keep our paper wet. Not soaking, just a little wet. So now we got our yellow down. What's the next color that we want in the rainbow? We want green. What two colors do we mix to get green? Yellow and blue. gonna take my blue here, put it down right next to that yellow. Then we'll end up layering some of that yellow right on top to try to get a green. Go back and forth, mixing it on the paper. Now, if your paper gets a little bit too wet, you might want to step away from your paper for a little bit. Let it dry. We don't want our paper to rip. If it gets too wet, it's going to start ripping, and we don't want that. All right, we're getting a really pretty green coming here. All right, so now that we got some green, what's the next color in the rainbow? Blue. So, blue is a primary color. Don't need to do any mixing. Gonna wet my paper a little bit again because my paper is dry. Remember, don't soak it, just wet it a little bit. Then I'm going to my blue and I'm gonna put my blue down. Don't forget, you always want to dip into the water before you dip into the color. Otherwise, our watercolors get too dry. All right, so now what comes after blue in the rainbow? Purple. What two colors do we need to mix purple? We need blue and red. I'm wetting down my paper again. Remember, don't soak it, just wet it. Gonna take some red and put that down. See how that color just kind of fades out? That's because we put that water down first. Putting the blue on top. Let's see what kind of a purple that we get. It's gonna be a really bright purple or a really dark purple. Still looking pretty red to me. I want to keep adding that blue in until it looks more purple. And then if it looks too blue, can always go back, add a little bit more red. Go back and forth, mixing the colors on the paper. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, but I still have some white space. So I'm going to start our rainbow all over again. I'm going to go to red again. That's the very first color in our rainbow. Go ahead and put the red right underneath that purple. And you may have like one rainbow, maybe two rainbow, maybe some of you will have 10 rainbows on your crayon. All of our crayons are gonna look a little bit different. Wetting my paper, and I wanna make that orange again, because orange is our second color in the rainbow. And that's a secondary color, so we need to mix together two primary colors. And our two primary colors are red and yellow. Mixing them on the paper together until I get that pretty orange. Then our next color in the rainbow is a primary color, so we just need yellow. Put down that yellow right next to that orange. And then after that, we have a secondary color, green. And we want yellow and blue to mix together to make that green. Getting close to the bottom here. Green might be my last one. See if we can get a little blue in there too. There we go. We're going to fit some blue in here. And that's the end of my rainbow. My rainbow's going to end at blue. Yours might end at purple or green or yellow or orange or red. All of our crayons are going to be different. All right, that's the end of day 1. So we're just going to set this off to the side and let it dry. And then next week, we're going to start making this look more like a crayon, like in our story. Bye! All right, so we are back, and we're going to start making this look more like a crayon, like in the story. So to do that, we're going to need to make his facial features, and I grabbed a separate piece of paper. We're going to cut out all these features and glue them onto our rainbow piece of paper. So we're going to start in pencil, just in case we make a mistake. And I'm going to make 2 big eyes. And I want to make sure that these are going to fit onto that piece of paper. It looks like it's going to. So we got 2 eyes. I'm going to make pupils inside. And then I also want maybe a big smile. So I'm going to make kind of like a U shape. And then I'm going to draw around that U, because we're going to need to be able to cut these out very easily. So I went around it, and it made it into a more easy to cut out shape. So now that we have the face, we need the top and the bottom of a crayon. So if we looked at a crayon, like this one, the top looks like this. It's kind of like a triangle, but it has this bump right here. So to make that, I'm going to put my strip of paper right here so I know how big I want to make it. I want the bump out to be just a little bit bigger than the long side here. So I'm going to go out, up, over, down. Notice that this shape bigger than here. That's going to make it more easy for us to put that on there. So we have this big rectangle here. And if you want to make your crayon look like it's a brand new crayon, you could make it nice and sharp by putting a triangle right on top. If your crayon is a little bit more used, you could cut that triangle wherever you'd like and erase the pointy top. Now it looks like this crayon has been used a couple of times. So now we got the top of the crayon. Now we need the bottom part of the crayon. And that one's really easy. We just need to make a rectangle. Again, I'm gonna hold this. We want the rectangle to be a little bit bigger than the bottom here. So I'm just gonna draw out, down, while holding the paper here, just so I kind of get an idea of the size. All right, we have all of those drawn on the piece of paper here. Now I'm going to take my black marker and outline everything. You could use a pen too, or a Sharpie, whatever you have. I think I want to fill in the eyes with this marker. I don't think I'm going to outline these because I don't think they need a thick black outline. All right, so we want the top. Let's focus on the top here. I'm looking at our strip of paper here. The very top of my paper is blue. Oh wait, that's the bottom of my paper. The very top of my paper is red. So if we think back to last week about the rainbow, what color would come before red if we were making our gradient again? The color that would come before red in the rainbow. That would be purple. So I'm gonna make my top purple so it kind of continues that pattern. So I'm gonna grab a purple crayon and color in my crayon. Now when you're coloring in, I want you to be coloring nice and neat. I don't want to see just scribbles. I want to see you really take your time and fill it in nicely. That way it's less likely that you're going to accidentally go outside of the lines, and our coloring is going to make our crayon look way more beautiful because we took our time and made it look really nice. And I might be coloring more quickly than you do, but that's just because I've had a lot of practice. So I move a little bit more quickly. Feel free to really take your time. All right, now I have to do the bottom of my crayon. And the bottom here is blue. So what comes after blue in our rainbow pattern? Kind of funny, it's gonna be purple again. So I can use that same purple crayon. Yours is gonna be different. Remember, all of our crayons are gonna be super unique. All right, and there is where we are going to stop for today. So some of you may still have to finish up your rainbow here, so make sure that that gets done first before you start making your features for your crayon. Then next week we're going to cut them out. Okay, so now we can start cutting out our crayon features and gluing them down. So today you're going to need scissors and glue. If you are at home, you could also use tape. So I got my glue stick here. And take your time cutting out all of your pieces. We want our crayons to look really nice. Okay, I got all of my pieces. So I'm going to start with the top. So I add a little glue, and I put my top right on the top of it. Now I'm going to put my bottom right at the bottom here. And then my eyes. I gotta really pay attention when I'm gluing down my eyes. I don't want to accidentally glue one eye upside down and one right side up. So I want my other eye to look like this. Don't want to accidentally put them like this. Although he would look kind of funny like that, wouldn't he? So while I was gluing, my camera accidentally cut out. But what you missed was I glued down this eye, I glued down his mouth, and then I took a black marker and I started drawing his arm there. And I decided I want this one to look like he was waving. So I made his arm go down, then back up, and I added a couple more lines that looked like little fingers. And then I think I want this one to just look like he's holding his arm down. So I'm gonna add some little fingers at the bottom there too. And then there is our finished rainbow crayon. Make sure that you take a picture and upload it to our Google Classroom.